Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day and making some really good trades, and let's get right into it. And before we begin, I just want to let you guys know, if you guys want to get access to my crypto trades and my equity trades, which is basically stock and options, you guys can get the link in the description. You guys can either sign up for all of them or for individual ones, like the stock one has options and stocks, and the crypto one has crypto with leverage and crypto without leverage. All right, so if you guys want the crypto with leverage, we can take some trades there and you guys can get some amazing gains like the one we just got the other day on Bitcoin, which was up over 135%. Now let's get right into it and let's get into the analysis. And at the moment, Bitcoin is still trapped in this range, and we can see we are chopping sideways, consistently retesting this $30,000 level. Again, this is something that I'm not too much of a fan of at the moment, but just because we can see that on the daily time, sorry, not on the daily time frame, on the 4-hour time frame, we have seen some decreasing green money flow on market cipher, and we are now starting to cut into that red money flow again. So just be careful getting into long positions here. It's possible that Bitcoin could be getting ready for a dip towards the downside, and again, this was one of the scenarios as well that I planned for and expected to potentially happen with this potential retrace right here. So we could very easily get a 50% retracement back to that $28,148 level, and after that it would probably come in line from this pivot high, so we could probably get a bounce from there and then continue our move towards the upside after that. Right, because right now we've been consolidating, probably lots of longs are starting to build. What would make sense to me is that we come down, flush out the longs, and then take it up towards the upside after that. All right, so again, just taking a look at market cipher, I'm just a little bit bearish in the short term, but overall on the weekly time frame, it's looking still okay. We have now finally exited that red money flow, and again, this is something I've been talking about for a very long time: green money flow, red money flow on the weekly time frame for Bitcoin. And essentially every time we cut into that green money flow, we've seen tremendous upside, and every time we cut into that red money flow, we've seen a significant amount of downside. So every cycle that we've been through so far, down 51%, down 64%, and then the last one here was down 59% as well, every time we got into that red money flow. But when we exited it and we started building that green money flow, we've seen a very big jump in the Bitcoin price, and then tremendous percentage gains. This one was 6,800. Last one we got was 844. And again, we're obviously still early, in the early stages of Bitcoin, since it's only been trading since 2009, I think. So overall, Bitcoin, it's cutting back into that green money flow now. Now we need to confirm this and we need to really maintain it. But overall, this is a very bullish sign in my opinion, and we could be getting ready for the next potential bull run. But it doesn't mean that it's gonna moonshot straight up, but we're gonna have some backing filling. We're gonna go up, we're gonna go down, and we're gonna chop along the way. We're gonna get these very big moves towards the upside. We're gonna flush out a lot of longs and shorts that get into the last minute. So once you see us getting probably to the 35s, maybe even high 30s, low 40s on Bitcoin, you're probably gonna see a lot of people start to finally capitulate and potentially get into some longs, and then you might see then that's when the Bitcoin price is going to come down very sharply and wipe out a lot of people, and then continue its path towards the upside after maybe a couple weeks. So that's usually how it goes. Taking a look at the daily time frame on Wave Edge, we can see that we've seen some a little bit of selling at the moment on the 4. I think at the 2-day, or yeah, it was the 4-day. We've got a bit of a red cross at the moment, and nothing on the weekly so far. So nothing too detrimental for the Bitcoin price. So far so good. And let's take a look at the S&P 500 as the futures are open. So we'll just get over to that, so you guys essentially know what I'm looking out here for Bitcoin. Again, if obviously these levels start to fail, then we're gonna have to start to take a look at some lower targets, but for the time being, the chart is looking pretty decent and pretty bullish. Let's take a look at the S&P 500 very quickly. So you guys can see that last week on the S&P 500, the SPY, the triple Qs, we actually saw some potential double tops happening here, especially on the SPY. So if we go over on the SPY, you can see that we gapped up on the open here, and we hit that previous resistance, and we held it as resistance, and then we dropped down from there. And then on the last day, on Friday, we actually had a very big move up towards the upside, right? We were bullish throughout the entire day until the last 2 hours of the day, and then we got a pretty substantial sell-off, giving us this very ugly candle, which is essentially a giant wick towards the upside. And then right now the SPY is down about 0.27%. The NASDAQ 100 is down about, let me just take a look here, 0.41%. So I'm down half a percent. And overall, I think I've been very, clear on my views on the Qs and the S&P 500, and essentially the entire tech sector. I think is extremely overvalued. I think it's gotten ahead of itself, and I think reality is starting to come back to the market, and investors are starting to realize, why am I owning Nvidia at all-time highs or Apple at 30 PE, right? Why am I holding all these things? So you might see some potential selling in the coming weeks, or maybe we're gonna get a small, at the very least, a small drop in the price before a continuation towards the upside. Because the trend, obviously, the bigger trend is still bullish as it's still moving up. But again, nothing goes up in a straight line. We have a bearish divergence at the moment on the S&P 500. Same goes for the Nasdaq. And again, the one on the Nasdaq is pretty extreme, as the RSI was like 78, and then the next one was at 65, and you essentially got back to the previous highs, and now you're starting to come down. So don't be surprised if the Nasdaq comes down like 5 to even as high as 10%. Well, 10% from the highs, and then bounce from these levels, because even if it starts to come down from these levels, it would still be bullish, because we're still very bullish on the Qs or the Nasdaq. So the tech stocks are really bullish. They would have to have an epic collapse for them to start being really, really bearish. You'd have to start to break some pretty major support levels for me to start to say that, okay, this is confirmed now, we're going to start to make new lows. But for the time being, market's moving up. Taking a look at the Russell 2000. Again, the Russell's been consolidating for quite some time now, but again, there's a lot of garbage companies in the Russell. But this could be also, if we're going to stay in the bullish trend, a rotation of capital. So capital might start to move from these big cap tech stocks like Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Google, all these, Meta, even, like all these stocks are, have had a mega run towards the upside. Almost no drops, right? Just constant upside. Apple's up 53% from its lows, essentially the start of January 2023. And that's just absolutely crazy when you think about it, because Apple is a $3 trillion stock, right? So that's like a huge amount of capital moving this stock towards the upside. And again, once this starts to come down, you may see the Nasdaq go down, but money might start to flow into small caps, which could cause the Russell 2000 to potentially get a breakout here. And we'll just take a look at the Russell really quickly. Let me just get on the Russell 2000 on the daily time frame. So the Russell's not looking that great on the daily, just consolidating at the moment. You got neutral money flow, so no real sign. But what you're seeing is that you've seen that weekly time frame red money flow recover significantly as well. Now you're seeing the Russell get into that green money flow. So we'll see if the Russell can get a small pump here, or maybe even a pump back up to the highs of 2000. But I'll keep you guys up to date on that. That would be a pretty substantial move, and I mean that would be pretty crazy, especially in this market. But again, I'm talking about the Russell pumping 8% when I've seen Nvidia pump 30% after one earnings report and bringing the market cap to $1 trillion. All right, moving along. Let's take a look at the yields. And again, this is something I've been talking about as well. The yields have broken out towards the upside, and when the 2-year was at 4.75 or 4.70, I was saying that the yields are getting ready for a move towards the upside, and that's exactly what happened. And the yields pumped up to 5.1% on the 2-year, and now the 10-year is also breaking out as well. It actually closed just above this level here, but if we're going to the wick, then it's technically still below resistance, so it's up to you guys what you want to do. But yeah, we could play it from the wick at the moment. So technically it is testing resistance on the yields, and you've seen the 20-year come down substantially. Right now, this is another thing that I've been talking about, is the correlation excuse me, between the 20-year treasury bond and the S&P 500. So we've seen that usually the S&P 500 can sometimes diverge from the TLT, but in the TLT always has the the true move, right? This is the actual move that should be going on in the market. And we've seen that the TLT went down here, and then the S&P 500 went up slightly, but eventually it realized, well, maybe the bonds are going down, the yields are going up, the market should be going down, and then that's exactly what happens in the market. The equities start to correct, right? And then we've seen here is a very similar situation. We'll just zoom it out for you guys so you guys get some more examples going on here for you. All right, so just take a look at this one. We've seen that the bonds were going down and then the market was rallying. And again, this was one of the big shorts that we were talking about during 2021, or sorry, 2022. And that's exactly what happened. This was the bear market rally. The bonds were going down and then you saw a major move down in equities. Something more recently, we could take a look at this move right here. We saw a small move down, right? We saw a small move down in the TLT. And then we saw actually consolidation in the S&P, and eventually the S&P 500 moved down, and we actually moved down slightly more here. And this was actually the banking crisis, and this is when we've seen the bonds go up, and then actually the market moves up as well. Now this is where we've seen the most recent break between the TLT and the S&P 500. We've seen that the TLT has been consistently going down, right, for the last, I don't know, since April, March, right? We've seen the TLT move down ever since essentially the banking crisis, or just consolidate to the very least moving down, and it is down now at 99. And we've seen that the S&P 500 has been pumping up towards the upside. So this is either that it's now broken this correlation, or there's other factors at play, which could mean like there's QE, which is most likely the case, because right when the banks started to fail, they did some QE behind the doors and quantitative easing, supplying some liquidity to the banks, and you saw the market move up. And now we're potentially starting to see that liquidity dry up, right? They only gave a little bit of liquidity, I think like 300 billion, although I say 300 billion like it's a small number, but given the amount that's on the balance sheet, 300 billion is a relatively small amount. And now you're starting to see that the S&P 500 has had its nice little rally, and it could be getting ready to revert back to what it was doing with the TLT, right? So if the TLT keeps moving down, it's very possible that you see the S&P 500 move down as well. All right, I think that covers it for now. I'll just finish it off with natural gas. Again, the natural gas is looking quite bullish at the moment. We're up 3.34% on Pepperstone, I believe, but we are not up that amount on the nat gas futures. Excuse me, I've been very bullish on nat gas. Sorry, there's a little bit of a burp there, bullish burps. But natural gas, it could be potentially getting ready to get its big breakout above $3. If you get a $3 close here, it's very possible you might start to see some very big short squeezing, and that's when nat gas is going to start to potentially moonshot at that point. Although, right now, let's take a look at nat gas on the market cipher, and then nat gas on the weekly time frame was looking very good. We are still in a bit of increasing red money flow at the moment. The daily time frame doesn't look like it's found its bottom just yet. Looking at some smaller time frames, same thing for the 4-hour, you're possibly getting into some little bit of red money flow. So it's possible that we see a little bit more downside before we see this final break up towards the upside. But I won't discount the fact that we are going to bottom early and then start to move up, because I'm very bullish on natural gas. But again, if we take another leg down here, I will potentially be getting ready to buy some more BOIL or UNG, and then ride their last wave up towards the upside. And then taking a look at the chart right here on the monthly time frame. So again, this was based off a monthly pattern, and the monthly chart looks just amazing. And again, this was based off the nat gas futures. We didn't make any new lows after we made the lows here. We just did some backing and filling, and now we're getting ready to move up. So again, very bullish on that gas, and I'll keep you guys up to date on that trade inside the Discord. All right, I think that covers it for now. Thanks for you so much for subscribing. If you guys want to get access to my trade signals, which is when I enter and buy and exit my positions in crypto and stocks, the link's in the description. Love you all. Peace.